If you like, for me, if I didn't have to be um, famous and I could do the same roles, I would rather not be famous.
You
Like,
would?
of course, yeah, of course.
When How I Met Your Mother first went on the air, I ran into an actress that I knew, and she said, "Are you just like so happy all the time?" And I remember thinking, does she really think that when CBS picked up the show, it left me with an inability to feel anything other than unbridled joy? But the joke was on me because I kind of thought it would. I had bought into the not uncommon notion that when I taste success, when I get over there, then I'll be happy. But the strangest thing happened. As the show got more successful, I got more depressed. And I kind of had to keep that to myself. The circle of people to whom you can complain about being on a hit television show is unsurprisingly small.
And when I got it, I mean, I won't say it was a depression, but you kind of go through a disappointment because that fame or that thing didn't satisfy the way you thought it was going to satisfy. Mm-hmm. And it was a massive lesson of, if you're not practicing contentment where you're at, you're not going to be content when you get what you want. All that whole time in New York, I was so far into that's coming. And it could be anything for anybody.
You're living on expectation.
You're living on expectation. It could be anything. It could be like getting that show. It could be having a baby. It could be getting married, whatever. It's like that thing. But if you're not practicing that contentment where you're at, I promise you, you're not going to be content when you get it.
You know, shortly after Reality Bites came out, it's like I never made a first impression ever again. It's a weird thing to give up because it's the idea that you can start again tomorrow is valuable to all of us. You know, I can be better tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're sort of locked in the box.
But you're kind of locked
right?
into this thing, and I've always resisted it. You know, there's a thing I've always believed. You know, when they really want to make you crazy in prison war camp or anywhere, they put you in isolation, right? The thing I realized, the second you become famous, you're kind of in a weird isolation. People want to know why famous people marry other famous people so often or something like that, you know? It's because they're in ISO with them. I just did this beautiful talk. It was kind of heartbreaking to me in a strange way. I did this talk at this university about some students, and I was trying to talk to them and trying to be, to the best of my ability or whatever, I was trying to be real with these young kids. They're 20, 25 or whatever. But nobody really wants me to be real. They just want a photo, you know? And it's kind of heartbreaking because you go like, I'm actually here. And if you really do like me, like, let's talk. You seem really interesting. You're a bunch of film students. I actually was looking forward to come here because I'm really curious what you guys are thinking about right now. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But that dialogue was never going to happen because I was behind a glass wall.
Unless you have had anonymity and lost it, it's hard to know what anonymity is for you. You know what it is. That it is it's a powerful thing to have. It's anonymity. Anonymity. It's the ability to be able to be and blend and relate to people on a level where you really are earning anything you do with someone. You're earning the relationship.
You know, I will tell you this: the biggest struggle that I've had with fame, the biggest struggle, is that people think that you don't have time for their problems. They think that you are so busy and you are so fabulous in your glamorous life that you couldn't possibly have time for their problems. And I just remember, it was like over a year ago, I sat down with everyone and I said, I'm pissed. And they said, what do we do? I said, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because I know what's going on with you, and I know what's going on with your relationship, and I know what's going on with you, with someone who's in the hospital, and I'm pissed that you didn't tell me. And what we're not gonna do is say that we're friends, and you listen to me every single day about my life, and you don't let me help you with yours.
Wow.
So much of my life has been in public that it's kind of the only way I know. You know, I was 18 when Dead Poets Society came out. I've made a fool out of myself, left, right, and center. You know, I've gotten divorced in public. I got famous public. I've gotten good reviews and bad reviews. And so, like, in a way, maybe I don't know how to have the conversation not in public.
Anything outside my house or my apartment doesn't ever really feel normal. I try so hard to make it normal. In my apartment, in my house, we can bake, we can make dinner, we can dance, we can do whatever we want. It's just that it's just a fact that when I'm outside the doors of my apartment, people are watching me, and that's the life that I chose.
And you're okay with it?
I have days where I am, days where I'm not. Sometimes it feels absolutely stifling and overwhelming, to be honest with you. But most of the time I'm able to go through the mental exercise where I just say to myself, how many years did you want this? How many years did you dream about this? How many times did you say to yourself that if you ever got famous, you would walk up to people in restaurants and introduce yourself if they were trying to take a picture of you? Like, I always used to say when I was a little kid, like, if I ever got to do this, I would make the most of it, and I would try to do good things with it, and I wouldn't be all weird and
Things changed and the world became a mirror. Yeah.
What does that mean, though, when the world becomes a mirror?
Well, I mean, for instance, I'm walking down 3rd Street Promenade the
Yeah.
Friday before Time to Kill opens. There's 400 people, 396 are not looking at me. 4 of them may be looking at me and saying, hey, I like what that guy's wearing. Monday, after that film opened, it completely inverted. 396 out of those 400 were looking at me, and 4 weren't. And first thing you do is you start going, check your flies.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean, the world becomes a mirror. You don't meet many strangers anymore because now people, you know, they knew me or knew of me.
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of how intrusive media is these days, people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work, and if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you. I guess misconception I see often is people feeling like they know someone that they don't, because they know what the media has created of someone. And the disappointing thing is when you meet the people, they're always so much more awesome than they're portrayed to be. I mean, that's normally my experience. And even people that are portrayed to be really great people, they're just a lot more complicated and interesting and nuanced and caring and thoughtful. And that's always nice, you know, to see that your idea of someone isn't always...
You know, that was right probably within a year and a half of Good Will Hunting, and my life had just really changed. And what always struck me about that was that group of guys that, you know, were covered in mud like we were playing mud football, and they lifted me up on their shoulders and you were taking pictures. And I remember thinking it was kind of like the peak of the surreality because they had to hire fake friends. I remember just thinking, this is fucking crazy. Like, what is going on with my life? Like, they've literally hired extras to play my friends and pretend to have a good time with me.
That's
like,
right.
And in trying to recalibrate your whole life when you become famous, like, that was a real moment for me, because it was like, you know, it took a couple years to try to find my feet again after Good Will Hunting. And I think I hid. My work really saved me because I was able to still be an actor. Like, movie crews don't care about, you know, any of this nonsense. They just want to work. And so I got to, work kind of shielded me from all that bullshit.
I myself shy away from interviews in the public eye sometimes for this very reason. Having one's image and effectively life democratized dehumanizes and sometimes objectifies it into an entertainment product. What sort of valuation of the ego would one have once you've let it be preyed upon in the public eye for years and years? Perhaps it becomes truly just skin and bones. Yeah, so there's also a thing, you know, and this bleeds into this kind of the fascination that comes with this charisma, which is like a celebrity worship syndrome. This is actually a real thing that people in the University of Leicester found, like 36% of a sample of 600 adults were afflicted to some degree by this celebrity worship syndrome. And the most extreme sufferers believed that the object of their ardor knew them and declared themselves ready to die for their hero. For instance, those who, it's another weird kind of psychological study, those who actually achieve fame are supposedly vulnerable to conditions like acquired situational narcissism, which says this affliction can cause a celebrity to get so used to everyone looking at him or them that he stops looking back at his perceivers. This may lead to kind of grandiose fantasies and self-aggrandizement, rage and loss of empathy, and all those bad things that we see every day kind of in celebrity meltdowns, you know, if that's not a kind of a crude way to put it.
Just fine. I just, you know, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're
I
celebrating.
mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, you know, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. What do you believe in icons?